slip by. Not many of you know that the Income Tax Tribunal came in 1941. His senior was Sir Jamshedji Kanga, who was a leading, who was the Advocate General. And it was the practice in the Bombay High Court that the Advocate General does income tax matters. So when he retired, when he stepped down, he obviously didn't go to the tribunal, and Palkhivala got the chance to go to the tribunal. Now, in terms of accounts, he took classes in the evening and learned accounts from his former principal, Banaji. So there also he was completely focused on the subject, and he decided to write a book. And as you know, there was another book by Sampath Iyengar, who then sued him in the Madras High Court for breach of copyright. The entire plaint, the written statement, and the judgment by Justice Panchabakesh Iyer is there. It's a beautiful judgment. We have reproduced it in the book. And Mr. Sirvai appeared for him, incidentally. And you'll be surprised that initially the court granted interim injunction. The sale of the book had stopped. But subsequently, they succeeded. And then the book went on to become the authoritative commentary. What Behram told me was, he said once he decided to practice in taxation, he decided to write a book which became the absolute last word on the subject. So he immersed himself completely in that. And I have always told my young colleagues that one way of advancing in practice is if you can write articles or write books on your domain expertise, it would be greatly helpful. Secondly, he really focused on the income tax aspect. I mean, there are cases where he appeared in the writ court, and there are some, the research I saw, he did lot of matters on Article 226. There were a lot of issues on the Land Requisition Act. Many refugees had come to Bombay, properties were requisitioned, so he had challenged that. Surprisingly, appeared in a few habeas corpus cases. But by and large, he completely focused mainly on taxation. So one possible thing is that you choose one subject, you specialize as much as you can, and you can always do a few subjects here and there. But it's better to have one subject where you're the absolute master or your domain expertise there, because there should be something which distinguishes you from the rest of the crowd if you want to get ahead in the bar. The next point which I realized was that I was told by many people, including Mr. Anirujana, Mr. Dinesh Vyas, Dinesh Popat, and all, that he planned his cases very well. I mean, like for example, in the Kesan Bharati case, every proposition would be written out. I mean, he had a writer's cramp. I've seen that when I met him also, he would write like this. He couldn't hold his pen. And all his exams were written with the help of a writer. So he couldn't write. He would hold his pen in like this and write. But despite that, he would write out his proposition. And per proposition, there would be what is the authorities he's going to put, the Indian authorities, the US authorities for Kesan Bharati, and the other commentaries. So everything was meticulously planned. And Vyas tells me that in the income tax matters also, that was very critical to him to plan the work. And one approach he took was he always tried to find out, suppose the opposite view is taken, what would be the consequence? And then he would try to tell the judge that, look, if you take the opposite view, this is the possible consequence. The other thing which surprised me was that he believed in reading a lot of management literature, which was news to me. M.R. Pai, who was the president of the Forum of Free Enterprise, and M.R. Pai told me that apart from his wife, he spent the most time with him because they were always traveling for lectures and so on and so forth. Palkhivala was a great admirer of Peter Drucker. He spent a lot of time mastering speed reading, and I believe he would read very quickly, very fast. He was very interested in theories of time management. These are all things which I got to know when I interviewed people and I spoke to a number of people. So he always believed in continuously improving himself, either through speed reading to time management, which is remarkable. Despite being a very successful lawyer, he always did that. And finally, I would say that what mattered to him was his obsession with time. He's continuously obsessed with time and didn't like to waste a single minute. Mr. U.R. Lalit, Lalit's father, told me that he had briefed him in a matter, and the conference was fixed for 15 minutes. The matter was over in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So Mr. Palkhivala, there were no niceties, no other thing. He just got up, said thank you, took him to the door, and that was it. So, and Behram tells me that after his conferences, he would come straight to their house and they would immediately start writing. So he has a great obsession with time. And as Justice Kaul remarked that he was very humble and courteous, I can tell you from personal experience, he was always very polite and very courteous, and no letter to him went unanswered within 2 to 3 days. That was the most remarkable thing. And throughout, and I spoke to other people, one important quality which young lawyers can remember is the extremely quick turnaround of, you send him an opinion, it would come back in 10, 12 days. Any letter would be answered immediately, and so on and so forth. So these are the broad lessons. And one thing is very clear, that if we follow the steps which he followed, that is to say that you have, don't worry about your disadvantages, plan your life very well, work extremely hard, believe in continuous improvement, and so on and so forth, success is virtually guaranteed. It is said that success leaves clues. And if you follow something which a role model has done, the odds are very bright that you will achieve the same success. Justice Call ended with a quotation. And I also will just make two quotations which we have produced in the book on Courtroom Genius, and which are particularly important to young lawyers. That if you got a role model, you follow his path, you also will achieve success. If you aim for the stars, you may not reach the stars, but at least you will reach the moon. And I'll just end with two quotations, one by Abraham Lincoln, that some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. And the other, one of my favorites, is that every great example takes hold of us with the authority of a miracle and says to us, if you have faith, you also could do the same things. Thank you very much, and I wish everybody all the very best, particularly all the youngsters who are in the audience. I wish you all success in your career, and may you work very hard, and I look forward to seeing the Palkhivalas of the coming generation. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you so much, sir.